You can already buy Major Tom in the shop for the Yamaha MODX. The link is available here at the top or on the other side. And today I would like to show you how to realize this on the Korg Kronos. There are theoretically 4 different ways to do this. The first is a sample. It has the advantage of being very, very original because you can simply cut it out from the original. This works very well for the intro. The disadvantage is that one is extremely constrained in terms of tempo. There are 2 different versions, the German and the English, which differ minimally in length and tempo, as far as I have noticed. So one is definitely not flexible. The second option is the wave sequencer. There are 2 options. You can use internal sounds or take the original sample from the song. I will show you how that works shortly. The third method is Karma. If you have the software, you could theoretically program Karma to fit, but this is very complex and not so easy. I also don't have the software, and it doesn't work with just the Korg Kronos alone. The fourth option is the step sequencer, where I can use different engines, but it also has the disadvantage of being a bit more complicated because the step sequencer operates on a single key and cannot easily play the same note multiple times in succession, which is a problem as well. So, in my view, the most sensible option is the wave sequencer, and I would like to show you how it works right now. We are now at the Korg Kronos, and I want to show you the possibilities you have. What I meant the sample is that I will show an example here from another sound. For example, I have recorded the bass as a sample. This is absolutely okay, but it's just not practical, so I can't change the tempo in between. I'm stuck with the tempo that the sample had. As a second example, dancing on the ceiling. I had this as a wave sample at the beginning, and then converted it to the wave sequencer. This means that now, when I change the tempo here, I can just do it easily. The tempo is dependent, and with the sample it is no longer tempo dependent, and I can adjust the tempo. First of all, I have prepared a little something earlier, and I have sampled the sound from the original. For this, we first go into disk mode, switch to the stick here, then look for the right folder, and there we go. Samples MIDI, open, diverse. Now I have loaded a wide array of various samples, each distinct and unique, from the original collection here under the supervision and guidance of Major Tom, who is renowned for his expertise. Additionally, I have the rocket launch right here, for now. At this moment, we will just take this part and leave the rest out. I haven't sampled every sound because you actually don't have to. So, in terms of quality, it's quite sufficient to sample every 3rd or 4th note, depending on what you do with it. Now let's go to load. And now you see everything in the internal memory that we will work with. Then we go into sampling mode and select here. Select an empty slot, that is an empty multi-sample. Click here on OK. I can rename this now. Rename multi-sample. Click here on clear once and then I will name it Major Tom. I have all the samples in here. Now we need to see where this is. It's very far back. It always loads 2 because it loads in stereo. So, always L and R. So now I start with the lowest one. The lowest note here is my E. I'm doing the whole thing in mono only. That's why I'm selecting this one now. I would just select the E here directly so that I have everything properly sorted. Top key, of course. First the E, and then it is on the E2. The sound can be heard. Next we click here on Create, and then the next tone will be produced. Created, then let's see what the next one is. Now here is E0. So the next one would be F sharp 0. I would go here to the original key office, and then we go back once more. And then I would take this one up to F10. This means I now have the sound on all tones. So on all keys. Then we click again on Create, click here on Sample Jumped. We have now taken F sharp, and now we would take A. Oh, now I made a mistake here. Let's see, I didn't switch far enough here. So here again is the F sharp. Let's go to the third one here. Now select A, then choose A again as the top key, as the original key. The original key always indicates where it is and plays the original sound. If I were to set G here now, it would play A on G, because I have sampled an A there. Now let's go back. Now we can also go up to the G sharp here, and then I can get quite far. So now we are on the A. Let's create again. We'll take the last one. And that would be the D1. So, I know that I need to go higher. I'm not exactly sure how far. I need to check that. Now I'm going back here again. I would pull it up to C sharp. And now I basically have all the sounds in, indeed essentially up to 1 octave, from E to F sharp. I could now transfer this into a program. I could play this sound by hand, if I knew how to do it. I would have to look at the MIDI file again, but I don't want to do that at all. So let's leave it as it is now. Go directly into disk mode, go back to my hard drive, that is, to my internal drive, and click here. To save sampling data, save everything again now. So now he is saving everything once more. I always do it this way. When I create new samples, I do not load the user KSC, but the normal KSC, so that I have everything together in one place. There are different options for this. I believe I have explained this before, and I would explain again in another video, where the differences between the normal KSC and the user KSC are. Now we go into global mode, and down here we have the wave sequencer. I have already shown you how it works in another video. I would still like to go through this completely once again. We are now taking a wave sequencer here, and on the first wave sequencer, we always have the E. This is the D, 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 D. If you do it really cool, you can sample more than one sound there, because it varies a bit, but I would say for the cover band, if it's not a tribute band, I think that's manageable. I actually only need 1 step, but we are going to do 4 steps here, so we can play around a bit. Here I set how many steps I make in total. Here I set where the loop starts and where the loop ends, and here it repeats, as long as the button is pressed. Now comes the cool part. Now I have a piano here, and the tempo is around 160, I think. Now I have the opportunity to select my own various samples here, and freely. I have stereo samples, but they are not included here. Instead, it is here with the mono samples. It should at least, but that is probably not the case. But that's it. It's right like this. And the cool thing is, now I can just click on copy here. The cool thing is that the complete sample set is already integrated. This means it's not just one sample, but it's really distributed across the keyboard. That is much too slow. Why is that so? Oh, okay, because I have it set to time here. I need to switch it to tempo, and now everything runs on tempo. Now I could vary the volumes a bit here. I'll do that. You can't really hear it super well anyway, but then we somehow have a bit, at least a variation in it. So, I think you can hear that now. You can hear the one that would be the wave sequence for the first part. I would do this with 2 wave sequences. You could also do it this way. If you have fixed times, I could place the second part behind here and then say how often I want to loop this first part before going into the second part. I find that very inflexible, so I would save it now with a wave sequence. Right there, okay? So then I would change the name here again. Now we save everything again, but in the next storage space, this whole thing, Major Tom 02, so I don't have to type it all out again. We are now going to set the wave sequence. First, I will look at the MIDI file to see how many steps there are. There are 16 steps. That means I will go in here and set it to 16. Go ahead and do 16, and then to use the sound everywhere. First copy it here. It's a bit annoying, but that's just how it is. Now the sound is the same everywhere. Now we want to create the sequence. If I remember correctly, it all runs on straight eighth notes. It's running on straight eighth notes. The starting key is always my E. The second is plus 12, I believe. That's plus 10. And that's again plus 12 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, that was wrong. This is tuning, which is of course not correct. This is a slight pull. We definitely need to transpose here. Tuning is a slight detuning together, and we can do that again shortly. Exactly. Here we have an A. That makes 1, 2, 3, 4, which totals 5. Then it would have to be the 6. Then there are again 10, and there are 12, I hope so. No, that's wrong. Okay, that's not a 6, that's a 7. So, now we move on to the next part. We'll start again on E, so that's again 12. That is 10. That is also 12. Then that is 4. I mean, these are 12. I think these are 3 or 2, and these are 12. I believe these are 2. No, well then. We need to take a quick look. So 12, 12, 12 is correct. 4? No, that's okay. There's the mistake. That's 3. That's 2. So, with the help of two-wave sequences, we have now fully created this sound. And of course we will save it. How do we get the sound in now? I'm taking something I've already prepared as an example, specifically a different arpeggio. Basically, you can start with any HD1 sound. You just have to be careful not to do too much with the filter, as it will naturally change the sound. Then I go here, under OSC1, Basic, under OSC Pitch, click here at the front on Wave Sequence, and can then choose my wave sequence here. And now the second one from another song is playing in the background. Because I had already prepared them for something else. So, now I want the sound to actually come only on the E. I do this here under Program Basic Oscillator 1. And I want to run the second one on F later. That's obviously not correct, even though it starts on E, because it also starts on E. But for our example, yes, it makes sense that I can start this with 2 keys. I could also assign it to 1 key using velocity, but let's not do that. Now I want it to run through when I press hold. And because I have it set to mono here, I now press the E. And if I press a key next to it or below it, it stops. Now we go back under OSC Pitch, now under this one, now I go to Wave Sequence and select the next one, Major Tom 2. So, now we need to check. It is currently set to E, but I want it to be set to F. This means that when I press the F key, it should play the sound that is underneath it. Now I press the key and I don't have a hold in it yet. So, let's do it again. And now we hear that there is a slight difference in the tone. What is the reason for that? There are several possibilities. Let's take a look here. Everything is the same here. It could be, for example, that the filter Yes, here I can already see the filter. It's working. And I programmed the sound with velocity sensitivity. So you can remove the velocity by going under amp here. Let's see, that's actually not so easy. Amp modulation, just like here. That should be it. Exactly. Now it sounds about the same volume, somewhat. From my perspective, this is the most sensible way to create this sound, or this intro sound, and of course we need to save it and name it. All other things are significantly more complicated and come with disadvantages. I haven't built the rest of the sound yet because I haven't played the song on the Kronos so far, but I will catch up on that.